Hello, guys. So, welcome to our channel. We are happy to have you here. Today, we want to talk briefly about so many things about visa application and how to go about the visa process. So, we will talk about visa application updates that you need to know, all the information that will help you to prepare for your visa. We'll talk about school applications. Some schools are sending in admission letters. We are going to talk briefly about what it means and how students should prepare even for the fall 2025. There are some students who are yet to go through the visa interview process for their spring term, which is almost starting. Some have started this week, others started last week, and some are starting next week. So we have all the updates with you. Today, I have all the team members. Of course, we have other team members who are behind the scene, Peter, Derek, and Solomon, and all the guys who have been supporting us. But on this channel today, I have Paul and I have Padmore with me, so I'm going to add them to it. And before we start, I would want them to, first of all, talk to all of you about our MBA program, MBA application process, and all that people can take advantage of. So, Paul, you are welcome. Paul and Padmore, can you hear me? Welcome.
Yeah. It's good to be here. I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you too.
Good. I can hear you. And also, I will add that if you look at the comment section from all YouTube or on Facebook, YouTube and Facebook, you can see that I have added a link. And when you click the link, you can join us live and ask your question. You may decide to keep your video on or keep your video off. All that we need is to hear your question and answer them. Okay, so that is something that people can take advantage of as we go through this process now. Okay. Yeah, so Paul and Paddy, thank you for being here. Can you tell us today briefly about our MBA program as we begin?
That's awesome. It's good to be here. I think it's been a long time, and at very few occasions would you see all three of us, the main team coaches here with us. And so it's good to see Paddy, and I'm sure that in due time we're going to introduce Paddy so that the rest of the viewers can also see Paddy face to face. So I probably should do that before going to the MBA program, and then letting Paddy go ahead and say some more about the MBA program. So I say something about you, Paddy, and then you can say the rest. How about that?
Okay, yeah.
I think for the purposes of like we being here on this platform, it's good for people to know that you're one of the team members here, one of the directors here at Bayer Lamad, and we work together as a team of coaches to help, a lot of the students, especially, but also other applicants who are looking to doing different kinds of things abroad. Right. And your expertise are broad, really broad, focused on detailed work with essays, school selection processes, and paying attention to people's, profile and thinking about how to match those people to the relevant schools and institutions that they are dreaming and thinking about broadly. But your own, personal life also reflects a lot of those kinds of detailed work and compassion and care and diligence and integrity and those kinds of things. So that's what I can say about you. But tell the other people, like what do you do, what do you study, and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you, Paul and Alfred. I mean, as you rightly hinted, I've been working behind the scenes, and rightly so. Today, I had to come, live. So, for the purposes of BAIT, I work as the director for our school applications. So, anything study abroad, I am largely in charge of it. I should say. And for me personally, I'm a PhD candidate in economics and here in the US. So that's basically about me. And that's all that I would like to say. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's truly awesome. Let's get into the MBA project that we are doing for this year. Every year we have something that we roll out And this year, particularly, we are focusing on the MBA project, which is
Right.
we're thinking about for getting a select few students that are qualified and are interested and can demonstrate the required profile, who are thinking about pursuing different levels of MBA programs, any of the administration level programs, whether it's human resource, um, whether it's administration proper, whether it's in finance, whether it's in management, or any of the newly formed like MBA programs that are coming up. There's so many of them now that
Right.
it's difficult to keep up with. But those are the initiatives that we're thinking and taking right now. And I think this year, especially, we are seeing more opportunities coming up for students, especially students who are in Africa. And we are thinking as a team about how we can position and place these students who will already go ahead and apply. Like they already they already demonstrate interest. They would already find their way to kind of applying, but we want to be strategic about helping them position themselves properly so that they don't spend all the time and all the money in vain, but they do it and they do it properly. But I think most importantly, the value that our project is giving here is connecting students to strategic institutions that many people do not think about. And many students, who probably are busy, as most,
Mhm.
MBA candidates are super, super busy. They are working, they have families, they have all the other things. And so they may not have the time to necessarily do the deep kind of research,
Right.
daily fresh research as you would expect of them. And I think that's what we are trying to do here. We want to target students who are interested, number one. Number two, students who have the profile and have the qualifications to be able to do it. And then students who also just need a reliable, trustworthy person or a group of
Right.
to rely on for guidance. Do this, do that, do that. That's what we're trying to do. From your perspective and from your desk, since this is directly what you do here, uh, tell students a little bit more about what kinds of things we are doing and what they can expect.
Yes. Thank you once again. So let me state at the very outset that for the fall 2025 application cycle, we still have a lot of schools that are still open for admissions. And
That's right.
so in as much as some schools close around December 1st and
Hmm.
some January 1st, we have some schools that extend the application cycle all the way to like March and April kind of thing.
That's right.
So what we are trying to do with this program specifically, and you made mention of that, is
Hmm.
targeting those who are really focused on business issues, right? So here we are looking at finance, we are looking at data analytics, we are looking at project management.
Hmm.
So anything business that you can think of,
That's
that
right.
is what this project is all about.
Yeah.
And what we have specialized in doing is that we make sure we give you the right fit based on your
Yeah.
profile.
That's
So
true.
however the profile is, we make sure that we put everything together, we workshop your profile, and then we make sure we direct you to the specific schools. Because think of it, there are thousands and tens and thousands of schools in the US that
Plenty.
so it's not like in Africa that maybe the whole country has about 10 schools for public institutions. No,
Yes.
here we have millions of schools that you can think of.
Yeah.
And so we have like a experienced team members who are
Yeah.
actually doing the research, and so we already have the schools that we match people to.
Yeah.
So this project is for business people.
Yeah.
And I mean, we do get that information that it is very difficult to get a program abroad if you are in the business field. And today I want to douse that fire and say that no, that
That's
is
right.
largely not the case. No,
It's not.
if you don't have information, that is okay, which is why Bait Lamad is there, right? And
That's right.
so
Yeah.
we have the opportunity. All that we want you to do is just believe in yourself. People have done it. And
Yeah.
so there's nothing new under the sun that somebody hasn't done it before. So
Yeah.
this project is largely for everybody, if I can say that. So
Yeah.
yeah. And let me add that usually it's people are also kind of scared because of their GPA, which is I would say it's not really the situation, right? It's good to have a strong GPA, but the application goes way beyond that. And
GPA,
so, yes, and so for the business, the MBA program, we are looking at helping you find schools that will give you, like, I don't want to use the word sexy funding, but if I can use that.
Sexy funding.
Exactly. So sexy funding opportunities. Here we are talking about maybe you can get full tuition because look, and because we do visa coaching. One of the issues that really stands out is funding opportunity. And if you appear before any counselor and you have like your tuition already waived, you know, that's a really big thing. That's a big step.
You're basically done.
Yes. So what we are trying to do is that we are so much interest. It's not just about the admission, but getting you a school that will give you funding, sexy funding. So here we are talking about full tuition or, you know, partial tuition, which will be all your fees gone, or even if you are going to pay fees, it will be on the lowest end. That's basically what this project is about. So any program that you want to read, just reach out to us. Which I mean, we are more than ready to help you out. So that's what I would say at this point. And then if there are any questions, we move on with that.
Thank you, Paddy. So Paddy and Paul, thank you. Now let's get straight to some of the important discussion about visas, right? We come back to school application again, especially looking at the deadlines for many people. But today, what I want us to focus on with regards to visa, as we begin, before we go and answer questions, we have a lot of questions people sent in. And after that, I'm going to read one transcript. Then Paul will discuss and see what went wrong in this transcript and how people can learn from it. So the first thing I want us to look at is funding your visa application. Like when you go for the visa interview, one key thing that visa officers are asking for is funding. This about 2 days ago, I stepped on a very classified document, and this document apparently I think is an embassy document, right? That's stipulate the details, some of the instructions that the visa officers work with regards to funding. So the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, like this document belongs to them. It's like rules governing the visa application. And in the document, they explain specific things that visa officers are looking for. And the first thing I want us to look out for or talk about as people are thinking through and preparing for visa or whatever is sufficiency. You know, they say you must have sufficient funding. But the question is that what goes into sufficiency? And if you look at the embassy and the detailed document that I'm talking about, they talk about key things. The first form of sufficiency is that the person, first of all, your school must verify that you have the money to pay before they issue the I-20. It's my video, like
your video is good.
Yes.
Okay, so the school must verify that you have the money to pay so that they can give you the I-20. So what it means is that ideally schools must verify your bank document, your bank statement. Of course, schools don't have time, and ideally in a real world situation, they should believe that your bank statement is correct, right? Now there's a second layer that is at the visa interview. It is through this document that I realized that before a visa officer issued visa, the visa officer must check whether your service is initiated or active. Initiated is for those who are coming, like who are yet to come to school, right? They have initiated their service, they have not been admitted in the school and have not started, so their service is not active. And your service is initiated as soon as you pay your service fee. So the visa officers have ways to verify the service information. That is why it was disaster for some people to go to Abidjan and forge the scholarship form, the scholarship fee on their visa, on their service. Because what you have, the document you have, the visa officers have in their system, they have access to a system that gives them more or less the authentic information. Of course, there are times where what the visa officers see in the system and what the students have is different because of the initiation process. So in that case, the rule mandate the visa officer that if you meet the requirements, visa should be issued, but it should be put under administrative process.
That's right.
So the visa officer will take the time, review the series document, and connect it with what you have to see whether you are not forging anything.
That's
so
right.
I'm bringing this to let people know that visa officers take the series document like seriously.
Very
In
seriously.
the document, it was stated that series started after 9/11. So it was a security measure to identify people who are coming to the United States to come and study.
Right.
Exactly.
So that should tell you how important your series document is. And in the document, they explain that if your series details, for example, any details in your name, date of birth, or any detail is missing, if there's a mistake in it, the visa officer, unless you qualify, the visa officer must put you under administrative process pending the correction. I'm bringing this because I realize that sometimes most of us get rejection not because we don't qualify for the visa, right? We get rejection basically because at the end of the day, when we go for the visa interview, I have to change my video. Can you see me now?
Yes, we
Clearly,
can.
yeah, we can.
Yeah. When we go for the visa interview, there's an issue with our I-20. And until recently, the visa officer would have given you permission to correct it. But these days, most of them will outrightly deny you and tell you to reapply. A way for them to get more money, a way for them to frustrate you, right? And all that. So people should be very careful how they deal with their series ID, series details, the information they have on it, and all that. Don't edit it, don't touch it. If there are information on the series and they are not correct, try to correct it. Try to make sure it is okay before you take it to the visa interview. Make sure you sign it. The date that you sign doesn't matter. Sometimes people are worried, should I sign it? No, the date that you sign should not matter. Whether you sign it a day before the interview or even at the embassy, even if you sign it, the fact that you sign it, that shouldn't be a problem. Now we come to the funding, Paul. So in the document, the funding says that sufficient funding. And the reason why I saw that most people with loans are denied is because of this document. Because they said that the mere fact that you have initiated, you have made an attempt to secure a loan doesn't prove sufficient funding.
It does. It doesn't. Yeah.
Right. So you have a loan from whatever company, and you go to the visa interview. So I have a loan to pay my tuition. The assumption is that the mere fact that you have secured a loan doesn't prove sufficient funding.
It already says that you don't have the money.
Yes.
That's why you're trying to look for money too.
Yes.
Through loans.
And also the mere fact that your sponsor, uncle, brother, and for sponsorship, they are clear. Look for sponsorship who are close relatives. The clause is that because close relatives, and they said people use all kinds of sponsorship just to enter the United States without any relationship, without any commitment. But people who are close relatives are sometimes have commitment to honor their promises that people are not close relatives. So when you are going for the interview, whether you are going with your uncle, your brother, your sister-in-law, your brother-in-law, these are red flags. Because again, what is the reason? Why must you be giving this visa? Why will your uncle, your sister-in-law give you 50,000, 20,000, 30,000? You see, these are huge sums of money. $20,000 is times 15 in Ghana fees. That is a lot of money. Okay, so the idea is that when students come for visa interview, the visa officer must check close relationship between you and your sponsor.
Right.
And sufficient funding, again, they talk about your sponsor. Does your sponsor have other family commitments? Is he married? Does he have children and all that? What does that mean for your application? If I am your uncle, I am sponsoring you with 20,000. I make, let's say, 80,000 a year. I have 2 children who are already in high school and I'm married. I'm giving 20,000 of my disposable income to you. I'm left with 60,000. And out of this 60,000, you can ask yourself some of the questions that come, right? So out of this 60,000, I have to make family commitments and all other stuff. Somebody said, oh, my uncle has a business. Okay, so why is your uncle depleting his business account? 20,000 of 80,000 is about 1/4.
Right.
Yes. So why is your uncle dividing his income into 4 and giving what whilst the business is there?
Yeah.
So the visa interviewer, the visa officer is looking for reasonable explanation. Your proof of fund must make sense. Then they talk about some source of reliable funds. And Paul, after I will leave this to discuss the other thing, we talk about credibility, reliability, and accessibility. So some source of reliable fund. I was shocked to see on the document that personal fund is the first reliable fund.
We've said this on the channel like
we've said
a
it all the
million
time.
times.
So the ability for the student to prove that I have the money to pay for my institution or to pay for my visits.
Yeah.
Because that fund is easily accessible. It's the person owns it.
It's your money. It's your money. There's nothing debatable about it. It's your money.
It's your money. So what is left is for you to prove how you got that money.
How you got that money.
And that must make sense, because if it doesn't make sense, the visa officer will try to feel like you want to cheat the system. So your income matters, the business you do matters, and all that. Okay, so then it comes to scholarships. Scholarships too. There must be a reason for the scholarship. So even if you have full funding, sometimes visa officers ask, "How did you get this funding?" Right? And they want you to explain how, why, because the visas or the funding doesn't come from vacuum, right? It can't like it doesn't come out of the blue moon. So that is some of the updates I wanted to give today about funding your visa interview. So I will leave you guys to give me your own perspective about these discussions, especially through the coachings that we've done. Last year we coached over 200 students for F1 visa alone. After we come to those who are coming for visas and all that. I think it's a link. Right?
It is.
We see a common trend about funding. Can you guys let me come to you, Paul, first. Tell us, how should people prepare themselves when they are going for a visa interview and trying to prove that they have the money? We'll respond to every question, so make sure that you keep your questions coming on Facebook and on YouTube as well.
Thank you very much, Alfred, for sharing that document. And we have said basically everything that you read in this document, the updated version of this document. They are things that we have shared on this platform since 2021, right? Everything that you shared, they are all true, but really, genuinely, they are all not new. Not new in the sense that they've been public information since they were instituted, however long it was. Like 2001, that's when these policies were instituted after 9/11. And they were made public on, it's online. Like you can find it. It's not like hidden secret or anything. In fact, when you're applying for the visa, they tell you that these are the 3 things we are looking for: genuine interest, ability to fund, and then number 3, desire to come back. Those are the 3 things. They tell you right there on their website. And so it's all good information, but genuinely they are all not new information. And so for anybody who's paying attention out there, this should not elude you at all. You should be able to find a way to make this work. But let's get into the practicalities of things. Right? The true practicalities of things is that for somebody who is coming for any non-immigrant visa at all, or any visa at all that requires you to demonstrate some sufficiency of funds, right? Number 1 practical thing to think about is, what are they expecting? A lot of it goes back to the document that Alfred just shared. Number 1 is, what are they expecting? Number 2 is, do I have what they are looking for? Then number 3, which is where the real work is, if I don't have what they are looking for, how can I improve on what I have so that it meets up with what they are looking for? And I think that's where the general struggle is, especially with funds. Most people don't have the money, right? That's just the simple truth. With funds, most people don't have the money to start with, because money is money. Money is difficult to get anywhere, whether you are in Europe or in America or wherever. It's the same thing. Money is just tough to come by. But for you who is coming as a student, the sources or the pools available to be able to get money, they are numerous. It's not like a visitor's visa where there are very few. Either the purpose to which you are coming should be the one that is basically sponsoring, or you're self-sponsoring.
Right.
But for a student visa, you are being hosted by an institution, right? So your sources of funds actually has to start from there, right? And that's what the visa officers generally would look like. I'm not saying that everybody gets scholarship. I understand that. The point that I'm making is money is just tough to come by, and it's just not a thing that many people have. But the problem that most people get into is that they don't have the money, but they're trying to make the application look like they have the money. And I think that's where the
Right.
problem always comes from, right? So the very first few steps that I think practically any genuine student should be able to consider is, where can I get genuine money from? Like, genuinely, if I look down and I look at my whole cost of attendance, where can I get like genuine money that I can rely on, right? It's that for me, I think through all the coaching that I have done since 2021, several hundreds of students, I think that answer is a lot easier to answer than, okay, I don't have the money. How can I make my application look as though I have money? For me, I feel like the second question is a lot difficult, because then you're going to have to lie or manipulate a whole bunch of things in your application, which makes it a lot difficult. But if you start from, where can I try to get reliable sources of funds, right? And how can I, with that, then prove to the visa officer that you can trust me? I have money. Here is why I have money. If you start from there, it always has a way of shifting your eyes and your perspective so that you are able to focus on the true places that you can find money. And for the most part, most of the students that I have challenged through coaching sessions with this simple question, they've always gone and come back with something that has changed significantly, especially those who have been denied. And I say that because for the most part, most students, they apply to maybe one or two schools. They don't get funds from those schools. They give them an I-20 that demonstrates that, oh, they have to show that they have 50 something thousand. And because it is a good admission from a good school that they like, they tend to try to want to manipulate that, really insubstantial information to prove to the visa officer that they have the money. And they are going through a lot of hoops, without considering other options that may be available to them, to prove to the visa officer. So again, these are the two steps that I'm going to ask. I'm going to I would give out of my entire coaching experience is, number one, what are they looking for? And a lot of that goes to what Alfred has said. Number two, what do I have? And then number three, which is where the real work is, how can I, with what I have, demonstrate that I have what the visa officer is looking for? And that's where the key work is. I'll say just one last thing. For the students who are trying extremely hard, to make the application look as though they are rich, or their parents are rich, or their sponsors are rich, meanwhile they are not, the implications of that are multiple. Number one, assuming that magically, it rarely happens, but magically you are able to get the visa with that kind of an explanation. When you get here, when you get to school, how is life going to look like for you? Because you basically have been able to demonstrate in the first step that, okay, yeah, this is clean, this is that. But essentially, I think that for me, I think that giving yourself options and considering a breadth of sources as closely as you can always opens the doors. Applying to multiple schools so that you can get the institutional funds, that's one of the reliable sources of funds that Alfred hinted. Institutional funds probably makes a lot more sense. Considering other connections that you may have, personal, family, employer. That's the order, right? Then the rest, friends of friends, in-law, loans. Those are like way below the list of reliable sources that you can ever explore. If you go down there, the pool, and you go and pull loans out and bring it to the forefront, you are making the responsibility on you to be able to prove to the visa officer that you have sufficient fund. The language is sufficient, but you're making that process very difficult. So you go in that order. Institutional funds, most reliable. Personal funds, most reliable. Employer funds, family funds, right? So you go in that order and ask yourself, can I be able to fit into any of these first four? If not, what options can I give myself to fit into that first four? If you cannot think about any other option, apply to another school. Don't bother. But if none of that works, and because you're super desperate, you go down there and go and break a friend of a friend, and you bring it up, or you go and bring a loan of $80,000 and you bring it up, it's very difficult. And again, I say that to say that these are the kinds of stories that I often hear. But most of the time, as Paddy, you also know, when we push the students a little bit and say, I don't think this is going to work. I think you should go and think about another school, or I think you should go and think about another source of funds. I think you should go and do a little bit more work. Give yourself another few months, give yourself 1 year. They almost all the time go and come back and they're like, I got it. I got something. I found something. Can this work? And boom, it opens the door. But the students who stop at just anything that they get, they just stop there and they don't keep trying. I think that's where the challenge is. So that's my experience. I don't know what Paddy you have to say.
Well, I think you've done justice to basically everything, but I would like to add to the very last point you made is about, I feel most of these issues are kind of self-inflicted because we have different schools that you can apply to. And what I have seen from my experience is that most of these applicants come in with, like, they are so fixated in getting to certain schools or certain states. And so they tell you that you are coming in to pay this humongous amount of money, right? And they still want to they still want to get the money at all costs. And the interesting thing is that some schools will tell you that, oh, once you apply, automatically you get maybe some presidential scholarship. But ask yourself, the presidential scholarship will be about, say, 25 grand. If you knock out that 25 grand, you still have about 70,000 to go and pay. Where are you going to get that money from? Meanwhile, you can get equally good schools that everything put together, you are only going to pay about 25,000.
Exactly.
But when you meet students who are really desperate and they want to go, you tell them that, okay, given your situation, my strongest recommendation will be give yourself some time. Don't go in for this application cycle. Let's add maybe 3 or 4 months to your time, so that we prepare adequately for it. And people, they can push back, which is okay. And when they push back, you just, okay, I mean, that's basically what it is. And if you don't have the money, you don't have the money. It's as simple as that.
It is what it is.
Right. And when it comes to the reliability, which is where my interest is, if I were the counselor and you appear before me, right, you have some scholarship from your school, and then you have a deficit, and you tell me that, okay, I have 15,000 deficit. Out of this 15,000 deficit, I have my own funds, maybe 8,000 of it. If I were the counselor, then I believe strongly that this is somebody who is very much interested in their own destiny, and they have done all that they can to make sure that they cross the finish line, right? So I am more inclined to giving you the visa, as against coming to me saying that, oh, I have $15,000, but my sister's husband is going to pay for the deficit. And as our friend said, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
But it becomes unpalatable if you are telling people the real truth.
It is,
So for the reliability, if you have and let me add this, that sometimes people have some kind of funds, but they believe they feel that it is too little. But the question is, it doesn't matter how little it is.
It doesn't,
Even if it is $1,000.
Yes.
It says a lot.
It does.
So I mean, Paul and Alfred, you are aware that we've had some students come to us and we tell them that, oh, but you have this personal fund, so why are you not adding it? And then they'll be like, I thought it's it's insignificant. But then they add that, and that little thing, that's the magic.
A lot.
Because yes, it shows them that this is your personal funds, and so this is, if anything at all, if push comes to shove, you can, rely on
something.
Fund. Exactly. And so that is what I would like to add to it. But the bottom line is, make sure you spread your tentacles, get more schools, and then you choose which school gives you the best offer, because after all, it's about optimization game, getting the best out of the lot.
That's true. Alfred, you're muted.
Alfred, you're muted, yes.
Yeah, thank you. I think these are very good contributions. Please, as I said, check the video and you see this, you see this link. You can click on this link on the screen, and if you click on it, it will take you right to us. We can add you for you to ask any question you want to ask. Then after you exit, and another person will join. But we are going to read all the questions from Instagram, all the questions from Telegram, and all the questions from YouTube and Facebook as well. So stick along, and if you have any question, keep them coming. So Paul, let's go through some of the questions before we move on. This one is from is it Ife Obi? Said hello, welcome, thank you for being here again. This one is from Esther. Says thanks for the opportunity. Then Amos say like the stream. Thank you, Amos. Peter is here to give us some shout out. Thank you, Peter. I'm super excited to be here. I'm hoping to get more detailed information about by the end of this program. Okay, you will. Are the numbers go visa issued going to change because of Trump? Okay, I think we've had a lot of people who have asked questions about the impact of Trump and whether
can I talk about this
application?
Yes,
yeah,
Paul,
Paul,
this is your theory.
Okay. I don't want to be overly sensitive, but you know, visas are determined based on criteria that transcend one individual person's sentiments and ability and even power. So I would say, no matter what people have heard about what the new presidential office and their stance on immigration, and especially their stance on visas are, those rumors, whether true or not, has to be supported by significant facts. And in the end, the facts are going to be determined by a consortium of people and not an individual. So assuming that President Trump has, you know, interest in reducing student visas, for instance, assuming that assumption or that desire that he has to still be supported by a consortium of decisions that will be made at different levels, including the USCIS. Yes, including the USCIS, the Supreme Court, and then also the Senate, right? And so usually by the time it passes through all these levels, it would have been sifted out in a way that is fair to applicants outside who are trying to apply, but also the host nation themselves. And I would say that for anybody who is sort of like concerned about the impact of politics on decisions about, you know, how many visas are granted, what kinds of, you know, how many people are going to be allowed in and out and stuff like that, just remember that these kinds of conversations have existed since since the 80s, right? There's been sentiments about, you know, these kinds of things all the time. What you have to worry, instead of worrying about how many visas will be issued, would I be one of them, what you have to be worried about is right now, as we sit here, if I were to apply for the visa, do I qualify? Do you have what it takes to qualify, right? I think that's the most important thing. The thing that you can control here is your own, the quality of your own application. Anything else you cannot control. President Trump's decision, his indecision, the Senate's decision, USCIS decision is not in your control. Assuming that is even going to be a factor, that's not in your control. What you can control right now is, if you were to apply right now, would you be qualified? And you should focus on that quality. But one thing is certain: there will always be students studying abroad. It has always been, and it will never stop, right? Whether it is reduced or it's whatever, it will always be there.
So, and I think when it comes to issue about reduce, like I got my visa when Trump was president, even at his first time when he was radical. As possible, I don't think the focus should be how will Trump's election affect me. Of course, in terms of internal immigration issues, some of these things are big discussion about border, about illegal migrants and other. But for people like you who are interested in studying or visitation, the borders are still going to be open. If you get your visa right, you are going to be allowed. One of my friends reached out to say, "Hey, Alfred, my wife has her visa. Somebody told me that she cannot travel if they saw Trump in."
Oh, why?
I'm like, how? Like that's not going to affect her. So don't focus on that. Focus on, as Paul said, how best can I make my application stronger? Yeah, pardon.
And yes, I would say just one thing. Just understand that, you know, in as much as international students are getting scholarship from these schools, some international students are also bringing money into the system. So those are low-hanging fruits that every government would like to tap into.
Of
And
course.
so it can never be the situation that people will intentionally say that we are going to whittle down the number. That is a no-no. So
and also, Fad, the US have so much resources in infrastructure and academic space that they cannot do without international students.
Exactly.
Even those of us who received funding, it wasn't for free. Some of us had to work, right? Through the research that they fund, they are able to get access to data from Ghana. Paddy, you are doing economics, your research interest focus is in Ghana. You are gathering resources, data, and you are writing and making a research that the American government can tap in and use for economic decision. So you may think you've gotten free money. You've not gotten free money. You've helped them in a certain research. Right?
I think people are nervous about they being illegitimate, and because they are illegitimate, they are not allowed.
Yeah,
but you don't have to think about that.
Trump's time, if you are illegitimate, like if you come here and you are illegal, that one
I'm even thinking about I'm thinking about illegitimacy in the context of actual visa validity. People think that just because they are foreigners, they are not welcomed. Right? That's how people
think. No.
But you don't have to think that way. That's not how it works. Okay, so I think we've exhausted this this question.
Yeah. So this is Bilat. I said, so happy to be here for the first time. I've been following you guys and listening to your videos. So helpful. Thank you so much for being here and for joining us. We are happy to see you. Godfrey said, could you please clarify if it is necessary to have a strong financial background before moving forward, even after receiving a full funding scholarship? Pardon. Buddy. Because when we were coming to America, we were very poor.
I think this is a no-brainer. Like, when you are coming as a fully funded student, you basically don't even have to show any document at all, because what all that you need to send to the embassy is your I-20, which says that we are taking care of this person, body and soul. Simplicity.
Yeah. So if you have full funding there, your case is a different matter. You don't have to worry yourself.
After there's a question there in the private chat.
Yeah, I'll look at it. Let me see. I think I got to. Hey, where did I get
Godfrey
to?
Nyame. So the next,
Yeah. So this is from Stella. Said greetings. Said thank you. I think Stella is always with us, and thank you for seeing you, Stella. Can you say at the U.S. visa officer that your uncle in the U.S. would be funding your school and all? Yeah, you guys, can you help us answer?
I mean, in terms of what you can say, you are allowed to say as many things as you can, right? But as to whether it's going to be in a good context and whether it's going to help facilitate something good for you in terms of bringing you some positive outcome, that's a different situation. And as we sit here, I don't think that any of us can be able to just consider this one single information and be able to predict whether it's going to be helpful for you or not. It has to be considered in the context of what you are going to do, what the actual overall financial situation looks like, how much your uncle is giving, why he is, what he's doing in the US, what you are going to study, your goals and stuff like that. It has to be considered in that context. That by itself cannot be told. But in terms of what you can say, you certainly can say it. But you have to consider, what the implications of that are. I think that's what I would say.
Yes. And also, I have always been strong on this one. If you are having a relative in the US sponsoring you, you see, the purpose of the visa is to prove that you want to study, which you can easily show. But funding and ties to home country becomes additional problem for you to overcome.
Yes.
Right? If you have a relative, you have already shown tie here. Like, is there a way you can convince the visa officer that your relative here is not indirectly trying to bring you here and trying to find any means to bring you here? Because it is very common to find those in the US now. The other thing is the money. If the question is, how much do you is the person sponsoring you with? If your uncle is sponsoring you, you had 30,000 cost of attendance, and your uncle is paying 30,000.
Right.
What job does your uncle do? Perhaps your uncle is earning, let's say, $100,000 in the US, which is a good amount of money. But is your uncle married? The 100,000 is a disposable income. It's an income that comes to your uncle annually. You have not factored in the expenses like mortgage, rent. And in the US, the visa officers understand the system. That if we're earning 100,000, it hardly it will be a lot of burden to spare 20,000 easily, right? it will be a lot of burden to spare 20,000 easily. So the question is that the concern is that how will the visa officer believe that your uncle can pay $20,000 and still live okay, right? And that will lead to the sufficiency of the sponsor, and that will lead to reason. Is it why will your uncle spend so much money to bring you here? What program are you coming to study? And you know, some of these people go to the interview. Like sometimes we go to the interview. So I'm working with a company. The company is so much interested. We want to grow in the next 2 years, and there's opportunity for me to study and take up a higher position. But your uncle is paying. You see, there's a disconnect, right? Why will your uncle pay so much money for you? And sometimes one way, and you see, I think when we watch the YouTube, like we all sometimes fall victim to this, and sometimes I try to draw people's attention. The answers we give, the samples we give are not all fit for all situation.
Yes.
Sometimes it must not always be your uncle is giving you money. Your father too can give you a loan. Your uncle can give you a loan, right? And you see, you say this, and everybody goes to the interview. Like, my uncle is giving me a loan. My auntie is giving me a loan. Like, I'm just giving an example that it's not all the time that you can say your uncle is giving you a free money.
I think what is difficult for people to do, again, is for them to be able to analyze shifting situations.
Yes.
And then be able to tell that in my specific situation, the way things are shifting, it makes sense to do this.
Yes.
It's very difficult for people to do that,
yes.
because everybody's looking for like some kind of formulaic way of like, this is how it is, this is how it is. So if this person does this, the whole world does it. But that's not how the visa process works. It's shift. It's there's no one answer. There can be 1,000 correct answers. There can be 1,000 wrong answers. So it depends on your situation. You have to think about the rules and know what is expected and stuff like that.
So yes, I was going to say that in this particular situation, it can also be dependent on how much your uncle is going to cough up. So the example Alfred used, if you have 30,000 cost of attendance, and already the school is maybe taking care of like 80% of it, and you say your uncle is paying the 20%, I mean, realistically, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because then that would be like something small. So that wouldn't be a problem, I mean, in a grand scheme of things. But in a situation where your uncle is the one going to pay everything, then that is really difficult to cross that hurdle. And what I will also add, because Alfred made a point that then the consular is also looking at your uncle using education as a route to bring you to the US. So in a situation, exactly. So in a situation where probably your school is even in the same state as your uncle, that is a really big flag. Seriously, it becomes a point for the consular to say, no, I think I doubt your reason for coming.
And but you know, sometimes that's why I talk to some of this, like we talk to them personally. You see, there's no one way, you know, as we are saying this, somebody is going to reject an offer from an uncle in America who want to sponsor him or her.
Meanwhile, in that case, it would have worked.
Meanwhile, in that case, it will help him or her. Someone is going to reject an offer from uncle because the school where she is going, you know, the uncle is there. It depends on the way you tell the story. There's the same story. Somebody can say that, yes, I chose this school because that school is closer to my uncle. I can get free accommodation, stay with my uncle. My uncle can support me with my studies because, for example, in a situation where your father owned a business, a company, and through your father's business or company, it was able to sponsor your uncle. We have rare people whose family supported someone to be where they are, and as a promise, they had to support, right? So I'm giving this to say that the fact that we are saying that when your uncle is here and your uncle is paying, it may be a red, doesn't mean it is a red flag for everybody. For one of the video, I gave an example about when you go and they ask you, how do you want this question? Why do you want to study in the US? Or is it tell me about the program, or it was
why this school?
Why this program? Why do you want to study this program? And in the video, I gave an answer. In the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, all the transcripts I saw, you could see a copycat. You could see a copycat in that.
But that's a template.
No,
But no, it shouldn't be a template.
Alfred, that's
You see,
yeah.
the purpose of some of these things is to serve as a guide, like a woman. Don't copy and paste it for yourself. That first, I've been working with a company, and like, so it became a line. Like when you go, I said introduce us. So I'm currently working with this company, and I've seen a guy. They are trying to mimic just what I gave in the
again. The problem here is
context.
That's why I always emphasize know what is expected, understand your situation, and think about how your situation reflects what is expected. If you're looking for formulas, you will be denied. If you're looking, people always reading like transcripts, mainly when they read transcript, they don't pay attention to. I know what they pay attention. What they pay attention to is good English. Who said the better English, and they copy that.
Or who said the better story?
or who said the better story?
Yes.
But what people are not paying attention through the transcript is what the visa officer is expecting through the line of questioning. Nobody pays attention to that. If you're paying attention to various transcripts, don't read those transcripts for good English. When you pay attention to the line of question, and behind the line of question, ask yourself, what is the visa officer expecting through the line of questioning? Now that's going to lead you to understand, okay, this is how the visa officers think. This is what they are looking for. This is how they are expecting. So in that case, how can I align myself to meet that?
Yes,
that's what I always emphasize. I never give samples. I never give formulas, because none of that works. You and I know none of that works.
Recently, and I've always been talking about it. It came to a time in Africa, in Ghana, Nigeria, everybody was being sponsored by an uncle, no problem. Father, no problem. But everybody's father or uncle was into real estate, was into import and export.
Because they had it online.
Because, somebody said that his uncle is in real estate.
Yes.
How many real estate companies are in Ghana? How many uncles own real estate in Ghana? When we talk about real estate, we're not talking about somebody who is buying land and selling kaswa. Real estate is real estate. Like, it's not a small joke. And if the visa officer asks, what's the name of your uncle's real estate, and the officer cannot find it online, what kind of real estate which is not visible online can get $50,000 for you to go and study? You get a question. My uncle is into import and export. Import and export of what?
Yeah.
I know somebody who came, and I always tell people, there's nothing like a bad story. Use your story. Stand out. Somebody who came for coaching, and I asked him, this was a lady, I asked her, so who is funny? So my mother, what does your mother do? You say, my mother is a baker. My mother bakes for teachers, like his colleague teachers, and whenever there is wedding, they contract her to bake. I said, go with that answer. Go with that. You don't have to say your mother is a lecturer, your mother is a businesswoman. No, be genuine. How many times does the visa officer hear that people's uncles and mothers are bakers or are farmers?
This example that you just gave, next week, everybody's mother will be baker.
And I'm saying that the purpose, is it Kahindi asked this very important question, right? And it is leading to some of this question. We are saying that the purpose of some of the videos you watch will be a guide.
Yeah.
You are using it as a guide to tell your own story. Don't use it as a guide to go and tell somebody's story, right? And to why do you like sometimes I know somebody who the visa officer asks, why do you want to study in this school? Why you chose this school? He said, I've always been like, since I was young, I watch movies, I see snow, and I realize that Rochester snows a lot. So I'm happy that I was
not tired of giving sample answers.
No, I'm trying to people to be creative.
But Paul, like people who come for coaching, there are some of them, they wouldn't accept when they come and you are trying to give them like maybe a broad overview of what they are supposed to. They want you to give like exact.
Tell me what I will go and say.
Exactly.
And my issue is that even with that, you must be willing to go and say who you are.
Yes.
Because sometimes the visa officers are looking for people who are genuinely honest. And Tronaldo soon. Real estate, and Tronaldo. So when you go and real estate, they will deny you. Like how many people in Africa are into, how many uncles are into real estate?
Yeah.
Right. So go genuinely and let's and some of these people the difficulty is, and some of these are coming from the fact that we don't have the money, and you know how we go to get monies and statements to how people go through the process to do this to go to the visa.
The visa officers also know, so don't think that is not
they know this. So go in the genuineness of yourself, and that cuts across the entire interview process, right?
It does. Yeah,
and
it does.
if you think holistically, it will help you in the way you answer. Do you need to provide your own bank statement when your dad is the one going to fund you?
Again,
if you have money to sponsor, why not? If you don't have the money, like when I was coming to the US, I was having a uni bank account. The only amount that was in was 18 Ghana cedis. Why must I provide my bank statement?
You could have provided the 18 Ghana cedis.
18 Ghana cedis.
To buy what?
After the government collapsed Unibank,
it will show them how poor you are.
After the banking sector shuffle came, they sent me an email that for me, I'm not part of the customer.
After that, question in the private chat, please.
Okay, so let me look at it. It said, hey, what are the signs that indicate a student is providing a rehearsed answer? So I'm going to this school to study a Bachelor of Management Studies in order to return. These are the signs. You are rehearsing, like it's something.
Number one,
there's no
you are nervous.
You are nervous.
You are overly less. You are less thoughtful.
Yes,
right.
And you're overly clean.
Well, yes, you're overly
clean.
But you're also clean in a way that is too clean.
Yeah, too artificial.
It doesn't sound like this is a natural person talking, right? And we can give a clear example. If somebody is reading a script, you see how the person reads the script. Of course, if the person is a trained script reader, then that's a different issue. But if the person is reading something that is, sort of it doesn't feel natural, your pauses are unnatural. The way you express some of the words are unnatural. Plus, also, I think sometimes when you are intercepted, and then they ask you to say the same thing again, you're like, like you say, okay, why did you choose this school? And then you say, oh, yeah, tell me a little bit more about that one. It's like, huh?
So Paul, yes, with that, I think there's nothing wrong with having a rehearsed answer, but in the presentation, it has to be conversational. Yes. I mean, there should be some kind of pauses in between. Yeah. But to be it doesn't make any sense.
And the thing is that when we say rehearse answers, what people don't memorize,
know is that people mean memorize.
And in some cases, there's somebody I coach. I realized that one question I know they will ask you this question. It was about tell me about your program. The program was something I said for you, like you are not getting it. So this one they memorized for me.
Yes.
But aside that, let's understand the story. Yeah. Your story is that you are working with EcoBank. You have been there for 5 years. You want to further your studies in risk management so that you return to help the bank. That is your story. However you say it in whatever language or whatever vocabs you use, doesn't matter. Because at the interview, because of the pressure, if you memorize something, because for me, my first interview, the way I memorized it, and the first question I was like, I was ready. They're going to ask me, why did you choose this program? And I was ready for the visa officer. I would have killed him. I was fresh from UCC with a Babadie, so I didn't shake. I got there in the first question. How old are you? Where do you work? I had even forgotten my own age because I was born in November. I went to the interview somewhere in April. I'm like, am I 27 or 26? So what you are saying is that sometimes be natural. And also, there are some people who go to the interview when they want to flex, they want to speak in slangs. I want to deny and kakakemi. Speak in your own accent. Don't try to be like the visa officer. When I was going for the interview, there was one lady who wanted to slang. So you know what? The visa officer gave her black paper. Don't come here again.
I think, Alfred, we have a very good video on memorization and practicing questions with one of the DSOs from Park University. I want to recommend that video to Morris if you are or the person who Bolaji. If you need that, go back and watch that video. He gave a really good advice as to how to practice it if it is very difficult for you to keep things in your mind. Yeah. So do that.
Yeah. So this is. From Festus, thank you very much for the good work. I think we must answer it quickly so that we can finish. I completed study in Europe and trying to move to the US for additional studies. Pardon, this is your lane. What would you advise to help me navigate the visa journey as an international student applying in a foreign country? So, Paddy, any advice?
I think that there are no rules that prevents people from applying for US visas in like specific countries. So if you're a Ghanaian, for example, and then you are studying in, say, Sweden, you know, it doesn't mean you have to go back to your country. So when I was coming to the US, I first applied in the country where I was studying. My visa appointment was cancelled, and they said it was because they had limited slots at the time, right, for only citizens and people who have permanent residence. So I should transfer to somewhere else, and so I sent it to my home country, right? So for me, I think there's nothing like, you know, if you are applying in a foreign country, you can't get it. Once your application pack is complete, you have all the necessary things that you need. I think it doesn't really matter. But what I would say is that make sure that you are in legal status in the country in which you are at the moment. So, for example, if you are there as a student and you already finished your program and you have overstayed your welcome, then technically you don't have
some
reason
answers to
be
give.
there. Exactly. So that's basically what I would say. But if you are in, you know, clear status, then that shouldn't be a big deal. That's all.
And also, if you are moving from one country, like one study, the question is, are you, did you do masters in Europe and are you come to do another masters, or you are come to do a further studies, right? If it is another masters, like you can still get your visa, but this time focus on research interest. Explain how a particular research interest that you wanted to pursue, or how your current research interest have led you to pursue additional something. If it is PhD, then it's obvious it's a further higher, which is always okay. This
I think we have a lot of questions, so let's give like 2-sentence, 3-sentence answers. Yes. If not, we can't finish. Yeah.
Are you guys also saying Empower loans aren't reliable? No, I don't think we said
nobody
anything
said
about
that.
Empower. We are saying that if you have loans, you must justify how you are going to pay the loan and how that loan is. Because the what I said was that the mere fact that you have indicated that you are acquiring or going to acquire, or you have acquired a loan, does not show sufficient funding, right? Because you have to still justify whether you really get the loan or whether you can pay the loan and all that. So that's an important.
So basically, there are factors around it. It's not just one group. Yeah.
I think we asked Kelly. I'll get back to someone so that I'll come back to you. What if my family fund is the only source of funding you have? Sure, you can go with your family fund. A lot of people come and when you talk family fund, what is the specific? Is it your parent? Parents are best, right? And your sisters, your close family, close relationship are all the time best. Okay. I have a sister in the US who is willing to provide me with partial support. Is it Rex? However, bringing it up that my sister is in the US.
It's not entirely a red flag by itself. Again, there are so many other factors around it. Remember, what you're proving is reliable source of funds, sufficient availability of funds, sufficient funds and availability of funds. You are going to prove that in the context of your overall application. Also, your sister being in the US might indicate something, but there may be other things in your application that will also indicate a conflicting information. So there's always not a one straightforward thing. I know people would say, oh, my sister in the US, I'm going to be no. It depends on what's going on. Again, the formula is know what is expected. Think about how what is in your application can meet that. If it doesn't, how do you rework it? Again, you know, I don't want to be giving like people formulas and this is that and this is that. You know, we cannot do that the whole time. But think about your particular context, know what is expected, and how can you massage the information in a good way so that you can show that you qualify.
And you know, when it comes to the funding, there are a lot of factors. That is sometimes, if you have time, if you can reach out to for us to sit one-on-one to verify some of those factors. Because sometimes, aside the funding, there are other factors that can make your application strong. Of course, your sister is paying. Perhaps there's something back in your home country that you can leverage on. Your sister is the only one in the US. All your family are back in Ghana. You are aging. I coach somebody who is in this similar situation, but the sister had a business and NGO in Ghana. She was managing. So it is more or less determined on how you approach it and where you go. Okay?
So Alfred, quick one. So I will also recommend that, especially when you know that your situation is a bit confusing, first of all, to you, it will be better to seek advice before you even go for your first interview.
Yeah.
Don't I wouldn't recommend that. Go mess up and then later on.
All the time, people come after first denial, second denial, and sometimes. But if you can, like, you just have to reach out, and we'll be happy to sit down with you to talk about some of these things. Of course, we have to use our time, energy, and all that. So you pay a little fee. Even when you go to church, we pay tithes. So what else, so that's all part of the process. So please, if you are unable to pay for my fees, and if unable to pay for my fees, and for this reason I'm unable to continue my studies, therefore I need extra years to finish my program, how can I apply for my visa extension? You don't apply for visa extension. Get back to your home country. When you get money, right, you talk to your school. If you still have visa, right, then they give you a new I-20, then you go back.
The simple answer is work with your DSO.
Work with your
so
DSO about that. Yeah. You cannot, they will not give you extension when you have not paid for your fees. For instance, if my teaching fees and living expenses add up to $30,000 on my I-20 for a year, and my statement stated the same thing, would there be an issue? So who does the statement belong to? If the statement is a personal statement, you can say that is a money you saved for your studies. But if the statement is your father's statement, why is your father giving everything to you, okay, to go and study? Perhaps your father have other accounts to help. Can you have evidence to support that? This is one of my father's accounts created specifically for my studies when he was young and he was working. So it depends on the situation. It can be helpful. It can also not be helpful. Yep. The idea is that provide sufficient funding for the first year, but also sometimes that's what people think, that you have to provide funding for the first year. Of course, in principle, you must provide funding for the first year. But actually, the visa officer must have an indication that based on your financial capability, you can support the other years. So sometimes people are denied for lack of funding. They will not tell you that. But we know the route says that provide funding for the first year. But if the visa officer have a reasonable doubt, that's what they state in their laws. If they have a reasonable doubt that you cannot fund yourself after your first year, and that will push you to resort to illegal work, unauthorized work, then you don't qualify for the visa. So even though you don't have to necessarily show that you have money for other years. I don't know if you get this. But
so, National, let me add this. So there are some instances where schools have made promises to students that if you are able to make it, we are going to give you funding. So people are banking their hopes on that. That is fine. But in that circumstance, maybe the counselor will want to get a clear evidence to say. So if you don't have it, then that could be an issue. And it's also has become apparent that some students are also basing their advice on what people tell them. Oh, you can work on campus to raise, your tuition and all of that. But realistically, if you have a huge tuition to pay, I think that will be like a lender of last resort. I think I'll leave it at that.
On-campus jobs are for Uber ride and some of the
Uber ride is not on campus. You're right.
When I say for Uber ride, like you get it to, you don't have a car.
Oh, the money that you use is just
the money you get. Yeah,
like, that's true. So
just to take care of yourself.
You can only buy food and coffee.
In some cases pay rent, right? If like some schools,
if you save hard, if you or if you go to this big school that has more jobs,
more jobs, because some of the schools, even the 20 hours you don't get.
No, some of the schools cap it at 15.
I think I got 5 hours. When the money comes, the money will be ringing in the account.
And some of the schools, they'll cap it up at 10.
And Paul, if you are coming with a family too, that's also a different terrain altogether.
I always tell people, if you are coming with family, try and you get the FS before you think about your family.
Yeah.
Somebody says I'll reach out. Oh, nice.
Somebody who came with the wife, I was advising. I want to be here with my wife, and they came, and for over 1 year, he didn't even feel the zeal to visit the wife at night.
Fresh.
Okay, this is from. So I will reach out for one-on-one coaching. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We'll be happy and to coach you. Can we please have the financial document you were reading from, the
that document.
Yes,
I
think
you can find it online. It's
yeah.
it's available, I think.
Yeah, check our website. Go to PDF section. I think you'll find it there. I'm sure. I have to even find it because I after reading it, I don't know where I put it.
I think it's available online if you just Google
Yeah.
it.
I'll find the right name and send
Go
it
to the USCIS website. It's there. The same thing is also on your country embassy's website. Of course, not the document, but the idea and the thing is all expressed there.
Please, what is your stance after completing your studies and done with your OPT?
OPT.
What does the question mean?
Yeah.
So it means that that's how best I understand it. So like you are done with school, you went to do OPT.
Oh, like what next? Oh,
exactly. After OPT.
Yes. So after
Go
OPT,
home.
It depends on the area. Some people can.
I'm sorry.
Some people can apply for OPT extension if you are in the STEM, right?
Yeah.
Right. If you are not in the STEM like me, then you may have to find a job that can help you file, right? Or you may go.
I think we should preface it with the fact that it depends on what you want to do.
Yes,
right?
that's
what you are looking for.
What you are looking for, right?
Yeah.
So you can go into a PhD as most people do, right? And or you can if you're interested in staying in the US, then you look for a job that will help you file and all that. It's a whole lot of process which depends on every circumstances. And there are some people who genuinely want to go back. There's a friend I think from Rochester. He completed his PhD. He said, "I'm going back to Brazil." He left.
There's so many people who go back. We shouldn't make it as though like the narrative is that, oh, when you finish OPT, there should be something that will keep you in the country. There's so many stories of people who go back. So many are sponsored by different companies. People get jobs, not in their home country, but in other countries.
Yes, other places, Canada, Europe,
there are so many
Nigeria.
Things that people do. Okay,
yeah.
So Paul,
Paul,
for this one, I would like to contextualize it this way: that let's assume that I still want to be in the US, right?
Yes.
Then what I would recommend is that if you are not in a STEM program, don't wait for your OPT to expire. Then you become very hot. So make sure you have a plan way ahead. If you want to go back to school, make sure you already have that plan already. Other than that,
and for me, if you are not in a STEM program, the OPT should be a lender of last resort.
Yes.
Whilst you are ending your program, apply for PhD or apply for another master's. Then the OPT will be a backup. If you get a good PhD, a good master's, fine, right? Or once you start your OPT, some people really want to get experience. They want to take a break from school for a year and go back. So as soon as you start your OPT in August, PhD starts, the applications start. You don't wait. If you wait, by February, application deadlines are done and you cannot get in, and your OPT and you cannot extend, then you become stranded, right? So the most important thing is always take advantage. The best thing you can do as an international student here is to extend your length of studies. And that is the best way to feel safe for most people. And the higher you go, the higher chances that if you want to stay here, you get opportunity. For example, you came to do masters, you did OPT, then finding a job that will file for you will be different from somebody who is doing a PhD and is also finding a job. So you only spend more time in school, but it will help when you are done. Finding jobs is not that easy, but the higher your qualification, experience, research, exposure, the higher the chances you may get a job. When we all come to the US, there was narrative that US, America, they power her. But if you look at the job market, it's too competitive. Now the AI have spoiled the thing. They use the AI to sample the CV. So if you do the application, it is AI that is sampling keywords. And if they don't see those keywords, you are rejected. Before you even appear for interview, you see the system. So sometimes it can be very tight for people looking for jobs. So always, that's why when you're a student, don't mess up. Don't come here and say you will not go to school because you came here as a student. There's opportunity. You are learning. You are building yourself. You are meeting professors, building relationships. Take advantage of that. Most of us because our mind was like we want to come to America. When we come, there's so many resources we don't make use of it. Relationship, connections, building professors. We are Ghana in America 10 years in Ghana. So sometimes make good use, like get out of your comfort zone. Be friends. Thanksgiving, visit somebody. Because I tell people, the most of the Native Americans, the African Americans, the white Americans, if you have African Americans, white Americans, Asian, what they are in the system. Assuming I've come to Ghana, right? Somebody come from Burkina to Ghana, right? And the person come to visit me. I am in Ghana. I know the terrain. I can show you all the areas you must look, right? So it's good to keep a dual relationship with both your native Ghanaians and other people. Take advantage of all the issues that you go with. Will a visa be issued to a community college student? Padmo.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Good. And this one, let me see. Do you think that it's a red flag for a 45-year-old with 15 years working experience to say his mom is sponsoring? In this case, could personal fund and stipend from employment be more appropriate? Of course. Yeah. Because if you have been working for 15 years, you should be able to save. And if you have the personal fund and stipend from job, that is the best funding you can go with instead of your family.
I like the way this person is thinking about the application too, because the person was like, in this case, like in my particular context, then you know that mother sponsor is ruled out. So in this case, if you go and watch somebody saying, oh, mother sponsor or parent sponsor is the most reliable, that answer doesn't apply to you and doesn't apply to this particular case. That's why always context comes first for me.
Yeah.
Right.
What is the situation first? You know, so in this case, stipend, employer, all of that is
yes, because you've been working 15 years for this employer, and so if they are giving you stipend to go and study, I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
That makes more sense.
And you build your purpose of study, everything around this. The same story. Yes. Yeah. This is from Auntie Grace. Can your school write introductory letter to the embassy? They can, but the embassy will not look at it. Assuming every school will be happy to write letters for every applicant. But the embassy do not have time. They don't review documents. They don't care about what the school is saying for you. They want you to say it yourself. That's how you should think about it. Say it yourself. You don't want someone to say it to them through a letter. Which insurance company can you work with on a J1 visa? I think we've always been recommending Kimber Health, right? So if you check our video description, we have Kimber Health Insurance. They give a very good insurance for international students, people coming on a visitor's visa, people with green card. If you're in New York, a crowd there is free. You get the insurance for free if you're in New York. So that's a very good advantage. If you're outside New York, then you get a lot of what do you call it? Discounts as compared to others. And sometimes when we say free, people think how free it is. It is free. I've benefited.
Go and try it for yourself.
Yes, my glasses and everything. Like I use Kimber Health as a student, and I think that's really helpful. If my mom comes here, I will use Kimber Health for her. Okay. I'm 30 years old with 12 years of working experience going for MSc in data science and AI. Oh, good. I'll be financing 18,000 of the 23K cost of attendance. The difference will be covered by a family member. Is this a red flag? No, I don't think this should be.
I don't think it's a red flag too. What I would say you should be thinking more carefully about is the $23,000 difference. Like, what are you going to do to that? How are you going to make it? What explanation?
Yeah, so based on this, it means that
the cost is, and then it will be up to 5,000.
5,000.
So that's the total. That's the total. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. No. Then then I don't even have much to say.
Yeah.
It's not that. Yeah.
You can explain. You have this amount of money, and you talk to your father to give you some cushion and is willing to support the father. But sometimes the way I go about it is look at the tuition. If your 18,000 can pay your tuition, just say I'm paying for my own tuition, and I have something for my living expenses. The rest will be paid by.
Alfred just coached you online. You're coaching everybody online. We're trying to give short answers. We're giving all the answers.
Yes. Yeah. So but this will be very helpful. Okay. Yeah, this is a shout out for Paddy. Yeah, good.
Yeah, Paddy.
Why US? Actually, after completing my high school, I have been engaged in my family agriculture farming business. During that period, I have realized the lack of water harvesting and water resource management practice to control industry ether pollution issues like soil erosion problem. Now, I believe that after completing my major from US, I'll be able to address this challenge by managing my family. So you said so many things, but how? How will completing a degree in the US help you address this challenge? I think that's the only thing I would say. I don't know what anyone would say.
I think we should deal with like personalized feedback.
Yeah.
Behind, like, if you want to get personalized feedback on what answer you've prepared, what you are thinking, and that kind of thing is always helpful, because I am big on context. Like, if I don't know what else is in the application, I can never comment on anything personal. I can't.
After you have been denied, how do you answer when asked what has changed from your previous interview? This one too.
I think you have a very good video. I want to you
Yeah.
say something, but I want to
Yeah.
reference that video is one of the very, very, very powerful videos that Alfred made a few months ago. No, maybe about early last year, early 2024. So go back early 2024. What has changed? That's the title of the video. Go and watch that video. We'll give you all the different categories. What are the possible changes? What the various contexts could be, and how to address some of these things. I think that it's a most elaborate video on that particular question that I've ever seen on YouTube.
Good. I think that will be helpful. This is from Abed Edufo. Edufo, good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yes, parents. Okay. This is from, it's applying to one university a red flag. It depends on context. It's not a red flag. It depends on context, right? So think about it that way. Can a company in the US fund one's education while the students work and pay? It is a CPT school. Well, this is also depend on a lot of context why is the company, like as Paul said, we have to have a conversation about some of these things to know the context, to know what you are coming to study, to know what is around, how much the company is paying, that would make sense. Yeah.
Even at what point of your
education? Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. At what point?
Yeah.
Because CPT implies you are here already, right?
Yeah.
So at what level, and what is even the arrangement between you and the company, that kind of thing.
So
as somebody who has done CPT,
I can basically you cannot use CPT money because it must kick in. CPT can kick in after 1 year.
Yes.
Of being in the US. So you cannot go and tell the visa officer, oh, I will pay for my visa fee in my teaching after 1 year of being in the US and working.
Yeah, that's called deferred payment.
Yes.
But if you are here already and maybe you got it and you are trying to use that, then it's possible.
Again, if loan is only source of funding, you have for your F1 visa and you have workable repayment plan, will it work on, or that's a red flag? You have already answered your question, right? You have a workable repayment plan, which we don't know. So if you have a workable repayment plan, fine, that can work for you. As we said, if you need personalized coaching on some of these specific things, because sometimes it's just one detail that need to be shifted, just like alignment for you to get the visa. And I always tell people, the process you go through to get the visa denied or approved, you always want to make sure that you increase your chances of getting, so that even if you are denied, you know you tried.
That's right.
But if you go and you are denied and you knew you could have done better to get a visa, it's always hard.
It's very painful.
Yes.
Very, very painful.
Yes. And at this point, if you watch our videos, you know that most of the things that we share, we know what we are talking about. And through the coaching we've done with so many people and our own experience, we know some of these things can be helpful. Can a student apply for a program when he doesn't meet the GPA requirements, but has a support system like GRE of 3,000 to support his application? Yes, it depends on the school. Some of the schools are non-GRE, whether you have GRE or not, they don't care. But some of the schools, the best way to augment your GPA is the best thing you are doing, your GRE. And I think that's good for you.
Not just that, so many other factors too, essays, all these things.
Yes, essays. I want to apply as a transfer student to the US. Okay, I think it's a good thing. Many people do that. If I don't provide bank statement during F1 visa interview, then the visa officer will reject me under 214B or 22G. It depends. That decision is in the hands of the visa officer. So it will be, if the visa officer asks you, give me your bank statement you don't have, he can deny you, or he can say, okay, I'm putting on administrative process, go and bring your bank statement. That decision is in the hands of the visa officer. Can a transfer student receive full funding, and what advice can you give to students trying to apply as a transfer student? Personally, it depends on where you are and what you are transferred. I've always advised students who are half in their school. You're already in level 200, level 300, you want to transfer. Why don't you finish?
Finish. Just finish.
Finish. Because the bachelor's program, they don't have enough funding. You are basically doing a course-based program.
I don't know any transfer student who has ever received funding. Personally, I don't.
So I think some of these things, try and focus. I've seen a lot of young people who are very good. They entered university with a lot of aggression, a lot of desire. First, second year, 2 of their friends traveled, and everybody have their own reasons. Like some people have good family who can, and all of a sudden it blows their mind. They also want to travel. It affects their focus. They don't even take classes serious because they are focusing on transferring. You're already in level 3, and you want to come and start a whole new program. If you get a good scholarship, fine. But if not, focus, finish, and use your bachelor's to apply for masters. Theophilus, I will reach out to your team for one-on-one assistance. Okay, Theophilus, we'll be happy to help you. I'll be attending a conference and participate as a volunteer, assist with registration, and also assist the technical chairperson. Is it possible to get a visa even though I'm a first-time traveler? So this one, some of these things.
Can I use it to say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
These are the kinds of questions that we almost all the time get, which is somebody will reach out to you and say, "Oh, my name is this is what I'm good at. What are my chances of approval? Whether you think I will get the visa or will I get the visa?" It's like you're asking the question as though like we are the visa officers. Of course, we do understand based on facts. We can be able to predict whether this is going to happen or not, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be. So again, I'm going to say that the factors that you have shared here are good, but it's not the only thing that the visa officer is going to consider. So if overall it meets the requirements, why not? I think it's going to be able to work out.
Good. Yes. And sometimes some of these things you are doing, they get a lot of people to do here. So perhaps you may have to find a good way to think about that. Senior, please, how do you explain my loan repayment to the VO? If I have no fund at the moment and plan to make payment through small jobs, I may get on campus later. And the majority after completion. This,
Reginald.
Yes. If you Reginald, to getting, how much are you going to get through the jobs, small jobs? I don't know what you mean by.
I'm going to say this, like, please look for another school. Okay, that no sport job is going to help you pay loan back.
Yeah, loan.
Look for it's tough. It's the honest truth,
Low key boys they suffer in America.
Yeah, don't tell you the truth though.
But Paul, people have ways of explaining how they are surviving here. So it also depends on who you are talking to.
Yeah. Charlie, small jobs and those things. Charlie, those days, 90s, no, I can say, I'm working here to do what.
Now, if you see my background, the only difference between my background and the background in Ghana would be the inferior capital.
It's not easy.
The money itself, like some people, like when you come, you find a job. Charlie, you don't have a car. You are living in Rochester. You are going to find a job. It's snowing. Where? How do you go? Like,
and your schoolwork, you have to submit assignments.
The assignments, guy, you can't do.
9 p.m. 11:59 p.m. I mean, like.
Charlie, it's in this case, I think it makes a lot more sense because you to look for other schools because it doesn't seem as though you're funding this.
If this is the plan, then yes, yeah. Okay, what is the acceptance percentage of US visa issued in Ghana? I have a lot of stories of Ghanaian officers denying.
Please. There are also a lot of stories of Ghanaian visa.
Yes, all of us got our visas from Ghana.
Please, relax, okay? And
okay, Paddy, you got it from Abidjan.
Yes.
Yes. Paul and I from Ghana, and all our friends who are here from Ghana. We can talk out. Then all the rest, like this, is it? We are in Friday, right?
Yeah.
This week, 4 of our students got their visas approved in Ghana. Yeah. I have, I think, 2 MBAs and 1 other, 2 others. So I don't think.
I mean, since the 90s, visas have been denied all the time. Visas have also been approved all the time, and I don't think the percentages don't mean anything. If you qualify, you qualify.
Is it appropriate you apply to one school? What is the minimum you can apply to? You can apply to 1, you can apply to more. I applied to 1. Pardon applied to so many. He only got 1. Why?
That is not fair to me.
Oh, but you got 1. Okay, so what you mean is that you can apply. Just it depends on whether you can pay application fee or what your interest. But the thing is that if you can apply for more, why don't you apply for more so that you get? Yes. The more you apply, the more chances you get multiple admissions to compare which one to choose from. If you
give yourself options, give yourself options.
This is my accounting business management teacher from high school, Sir Carlos. Good to see you. Keep up the good work and stay blessed. Thank you. These are some of the people who contributed to our lives, so I'm happy to see him here.
Yeah,
As a 31-year-old with 5 years of experience after bachelor's, is it fine for my father if my father is sponsoring? Some of these questions, as you said, contest, right? So it depends on so many factors. Why is your father sponsoring? What does your father do? What are you coming to study? What have you been doing after all this? When did you graduate? Because if you are with 5 years experience after my bachelor's, okay, so you already have bachelor's. You are coming for masters. What have you been doing, right? Your father can sponsor. It depends on the circumstance. And if you don't have anyone to sponsor you, I think father is the best, the closest thing. Pardon.
Yes.
Please, is it possible for the viewer to consider you in terms of questioning when you have a full tuition? For example, cost of attendance 60,000 with a deficit of 25,000, living expenses, insurance. Do you get the question? Is it possible for the viewer to consider you in terms of questioning when you have a full tuition scholarship? Yes, if you have full tuition scholarship.
So wait, so based on the 60,000, it means that this individual has 35,000 as the tuition, so that is gone, and then you are left with 25,000 in the
living expenses.
Like, living expenses is another thing. Yeah, that's the question.
Yes, so you have to show, and in that case, emphasize on the tuition, and you have to show how you pay the 25,000. But the most important, think about the thing holistically. If you don't show why you need to study a particular program, the tuition doesn't make sense. One of the people who got their visas, as I talked about, that we coach this week, the person went and he was denied first, somewhere in I think November. Oh no, he was going for the fall, so it was in June. Now they deny her and she came. She had full funding, but she thought that having full funding, you appear and they give you the visa. No, they work with not just funding. Like you have to prove why you are coming to study and all that. Visa officers know that now agents are applying to schools for people, and they can get good scholarships. So you have to prove that you need to study. I'm 26 years old, going for my master's. My cost of attendance is 33, and my mother will be sponsoring me. And I also have a savings of 7K for my personal expenses. Kindly help me. Good. So 7K, when you go to interview, you talk about your 7K, that you save 7K. You spoke to your mom to help you in that regard. Okay.
Yes.
Kudos, guy. I see you, Paddy, and my Nubji president as Baz. Sister Ernestina, good to see you, and thanks for shout out. And I love it when you say my Nubji president. I remember those days. Nubji president. I feel like I should speak in tongues.
Oh, that's so.
Priscilla said, I would like you to coach me for my visa interview. How do I go do this to get you? Please go to our website, www.beidlamadedu.com. Right? If you check the comments, you see it. Then you can get our WhatsApp number. You can get our Telegram page, our email. And also there's a whole explanation about booking one-on-one sessions with us and with our coaches. Okay. How can you address living in the middle of a study in the university in your home country to study in the US?
I think that it's the same as the transfer thing we talked about.
Transfer students. So you have to explain why you are transferring. You're already in University of Ghana. Why are you leaving University of Ghana to the US? That is something you alone can speak of, right? So it is contest, and that's how the visa officers think. We are going to wrap up. So please, this is our contact. You may reach out beidlamadedu.com/contact. You can reach out to us there. We'll be happy to answer your question. Let's go through all the questions. We've answered this question. I want to make sure that everyone's question has been answered before we sign off. We have about 15 minutes to sign off. I sent you a mail to you already. I am yet to get reply. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll respond after here.
Yeah, we will respond. This is from Kirikou. I've been accepted to CDMS Computer Science Information Science 420 without any fund as of now. The acceptance letter came December. What advice will you offer me? So if you have money, Paddy, go ahead.
Yeah, so what happens is that different schools have like different processes. So usually you get the admission decision first, and then the funding decision will come after. In some cases, the funding decision will be part of the admission. So I would say that wait for some time, because
or reach out to the school about funding.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say after that. Okay.
Yes. Cool. Reach out to the school about funding. If not, we still have time. Apply to more schools, right, to see what funding they can give to you. This one saying how to get full ride undergraduate scholarship. Honestly, there's not enough full ride undergraduate scholarship unless few of most full ride I've seen is most of them who do the national maths and science quiz or people who get a perfect SAT score,
That's it. Yeah.
right? SAT and all that. So it depends on how strong your GPA is, it your transcript, your WASI, and all those things are, and the kind of schools
And
you're
also
applying to.
and also the program you are coming to study is very important.
Yes. How can I link up for coaching? I have an interview end this month. Please, if you look at this, you see beitlamardedu.com. Our name.com, beitlamardedu.com. We have our contact, WhatsApp number, everything is there. You can check it on our Facebook or YouTube in the video description or on the profile description. You can find it there. Okay, we are trying to. How can I link up? Okay,
I think this is a question you just answered.
If someone is rejected under section 214B, then it only means that he or she is not showing strong ties. No, whatever you are rejected, whether you didn't show proof, whatever, any reason is the same answer, the same reason, right?
Let me add that 214B document is like everybody received the same document.
Yes,
and it doesn't specify why you have been rejected.
Yes. Yeah. Please, is there a rule to complete NL before applying for masters? No. There are some people who this year we are like when we did our summer
level 400.
They are level 400 and we are applying for school for them. So they graduated in December, and by next year, before they start national service, if they get scholarship, they're already in the US. Yeah, so nobody has anyway. So my family and I have the same interview date, which is April 10, and my dad has been to the US before, but his visa expired a long time ago, so he can't renew. And so we all applying. How likely are we? Okay, so it depends, circumstances. What are you coming to do, and who are you? What do you do, and all that. So everybody who apply for visitor's visa or student visa have a 50% chance of getting, and have a 50% chance of not getting. What are some of the master's program available for individuals with bachelor's in ophthalmic nursing and bachelor's in nursing? Yeah, I think I don't know. Somebody reached out about this program, and I told him that I will talk to the team. I don't know if this is the person, but sometimes for us, what we do is that if we know your interest, then we search in our database, because there are thousands of schools, and sometimes you don't have to necessarily. You may not get a course described as ophthalmic nursing, but you may get a course that's revolve around the interest you have in ophthalmic nursing, right? So think about it, because even in nursing, there's so many branches. We have I don't know, but so many branches. Pediatric nursing, is it? Let me stop here before I go into the internet. Got admission to UW
University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee.
Okay, to study supply chain and operation management. Course of attendance, my uncle is sponsoring with no fund. My interview is February, but scholarship will be coming in May. Wow. Then you may have to reschedule your interview so that you allow the scholarship to come before you go. Okay. Good. Which school are still waiving application fee for international students? Yes, check our Twitter page. Beit Lamad Twitter page. We have been sharing a lot of application, and even our Facebook page also. If you follow us on Facebook, you see all the constant updates we put on Facebook as well. I think he has some questions on. Let me see. Sir Carlos again. He said, "I'm highly impressed with your in-depth education." Thank you, sir. We know this work is something that you poured in us, so I'm happy. I need to reach out. Actually, I haven't been good, so I have to call. How do you call? Is it the prodigal son? I'll call. So.
Carlos.
Yes, Carlos. Well done. So how can I answer that? My company, of which my stepbrother is sponsoring me for masters in finance, I also work there as an accountant. So yes, so why is the company sponsoring you? You work there as a, so you have to give a genuine reason why you are being sponsored by the company, right? So perhaps
the company is going to get
from you, right? And it also involves how much the company is sponsoring you. What kind of company it is? You go to the interview and you say, like when you say company, it's relative.
Yes.
Like maybe
How
America
big
can be a
it is?
company. How
Yes.
big is the company? What are the employers? Why would the company spend so much money? And what kind of company? Because if it is company limited by liability, it's different. If it's a one shareholder company, it's different, right? But you must think about it in that way. Sometimes I try to distinguish this too. In business, then we talk about the company being a separate entity from its owners. So if your uncle have a share in the company, then you are saying that it's your uncle who is sponsoring you to prove your uncle's source of finance. So my uncle owns this company. That is different from saying the company is sponsoring you. Because in terms of company policy, there are so many regulations when the company is directly giving expenses sponsoring. That's our tax implication, right? So that depends. And so it may be your uncle's company and your uncle is sponsoring you, but he gets his money from the company. Just like saying, Despite is sponsoring me. But Despite has a company. That's different from Despite Media sponsoring me. Pardon, I don't know what you want to say.
And we have some companies, and just as we said, depending on how big the company is, who have like policies like, oh, maybe if you work with us for these number of years, we are going to help you go to school, and then you come back to work in a certain capacity, right? So you have to consider all of those things.
Good. So this is from is it TK? In your opinion, is submitted bank statement from Upwork for someone working in a US company for about 6 months as a virtual assistant okay to sponsor a deficit offer? Yes. It doesn't matter where the bank statement is coming from. The source of money is legit and it is real, it is accessible, it is available, right? So it's a good way to use. Okay. Don't you just explain that you're a virtual assistant.
Yes.
But one thing is that you have to be very smart to tell the visa officer, well, when you come to the US, you are only coming here to study. So you tender in with your resignation letter and focus on your academic
studies, yes.
Study, because you don't want the visa officer to have the impression that you just want use the school to come here to come and do your job, right?
Or even you'll be going to school and then you
still working.
That, yes.
And because the visa rules does not allow the visa rule do not allow that. So you must have that distinction. Okay. Can you assist me with the PhD application?
Yes.
Yes, we'll be happy to assist. Send us an email. We have to know your background. We have to know your research interests. We have to have a conversation before we get into the process, right? This is from Chef. Chief is smiling and happy. Is attending a graduation a good reason to visit us in the US? And how do you say you are attending a graduation when asked the reason you are going to the US? Yeah, the reason is you are going to attend a vacation. So, sorry, a graduation. Okay. Yeah. I have an admission from NEU Boston for master's program with 10% funding per semester. Do you think it would be nice to go ahead with admission, please? That would depend on you. How much can you pay? Do you have the money to pay? Boston is expensive. Living in Boston is expensive. So aside the teaching, how are you going to pay? And I tell people, most of you have you have a future, a good future. Don't jeopardize it by forcing yourself to come to the US to come and do a program you cannot pay. As soon as you're not able to pay your tuition, the school blacklist you. Some schools will sack you. They will cancel your CVs and you become illegal. Like they destroy your life. And genuinely, it is not your fault. Like it's the effort and the challenges you go through will be so much. So meanwhile, you could have applied to other schools, waited for another year, and get other scholarship. Yes. There are a lot of schools. I'm telling you, you just have to put in the work. And putting the work, it depends on so many factors. Some people have low GPA. All that they need to do is to do masters in their home country.
Right.
And because you have the mindset to travel abroad to study, then you make sure that you perform in your masters and use it to apply for a PhD. Some people have to write a GRE, right? Some people have to write good essays. Some people have to publish, go and get research experience, volunteer. So there are so many things. It's a process, and you must be willing to go through for yourself. All of us have this, like everybody wants to study abroad, which is a good thing because you want to advance yourself. But we all have different pathways. You don't have to necessarily come this year. You don't have to necessarily go to this particular school if you know you struggle. Work on your application. Give yourself time, if any. speak to others to help you review application or to help you understand the process. Could be your professors, your friends, whatever. Seek help and be open-minded about it. You will succeed. I'm watching you live from Vietnam. Thanks. Oh, this is from Senior Man Pascal. Greetings. Yeah. I'm happy to hear from you. Yes. This is a senior man. My regards to everybody, every Ghanaian, all our friends, our brothers and sisters, and everyone. We are happy to hear from you, sir. One of these days, we will link up for a conversation. Which programs in the health sector will you recommend after completing? It gives high job prospects. Well, nursing, medicine, public
pharmacy,
optometry, visiology, those who okay, they are the optometry, right? Yes, dentists, ear, ENT, ear and eye, whatever. Okay, good. This is from Prince Atadako. Thank you, Prince. So we are seeing old boys here. Yes, thank you, Prince. I'm happy to hear from you. Does Ghana still do family interview? No, you do individual interviews. The last time I checked, I have to check the system again. Most of the people have been booking individually. So the new system didn't allow group interview. Yeah.
So what about if like the family has minors in there?
Yes, you have to book separately.
Okay.
So I have to check. The last time I checked, I think 1 week ago. I don't think all the people I help book, like we book it separately.
Have we done family this year?
Yes, we did it in a way that you have to get like book the same date for them. So currently don't have that. Okay, I'm going for bachelor's. My first year course is 36,000, and my parents' combined income is 50 per year. Is this a red flag? It depends. See, if your parents can pay,
55 is more than the 36K, but it also depends the story around the whole application.
Yes. Good. This is from Chief again. Okay, let me see. Please, is there a rule to okay, I've answered this
already. Yeah.
This is from Mensa Collins. We are doing well, Collins. Good to hear from you. I think this will be our last question. If you did not B1, B2 visa, how long can you apply again? You can apply as many times, and you can apply
immediately as you got denied.
Yes, it depends on getting a date. Okay. Yes. Last one. So does a minor have to be interviewed with a parent? So if you are a minor, you book your dates, you go for the interview, you go with an adult, so you go with your parents. So your parents will be the one answering questions for you. Yes. So thank you, guys. We will see you next week this time. Right? Somebody said I didn't get to reply. What was your question? Ask your question again so that you can contact us, beitlamardedu.com, www.beitlamardedu.com. Let me put it in the comment section, www.beitlamardedu.com. You see a very beautiful website with good stories that you can follow. Okay. So a follow-up to my initial question, I hold MBA Finance. Can I get a spot for 420 PhD with funding? So it depends on so many factors, right? So as I say, we have to have a conversation. It depends on your interest, the schools available, the requirements, whether you have it, because most of the PhD programs in finance require GRE. So we have GMAT, yes, GRE or GMAT. So it depends. We have to have some of these conversations in all that. And if you look at the chat section, you see our contact about it. He said, with regards to NSS, what's NSS?
I think the question was, do you have to finish NSS before you apply?
Yes. And we said no, you can apply so far as you're on level 400 and you have at least 3 years transcript available, you can apply. The most important is by the time you start school, you must graduate from your current.
And National, let me add this. My understanding of NSS is like, typically, if you want to like work in Ghana, so if I finish school, I can come and study abroad, and then without doing national service. Later on, if I return home, I can go back to national service before my full-time job. So that has nothing to do with the US visa.
Yeah. And somebody is asking from is it Instagram? Said, is a stepdad a good sponsor for the F1 visa application? If yes, Is it possible for the VO to request for a marriage certificate to verify this, even though I have the bank statement of my dad? No. So they don't. You are saying stepdad, right? So they don't have time to verify those. They can, but they may not in most cases. So you have to prove why your stepdad is sponsoring you and all that. So your stepdad can actually sponsor. Final question. I think it's a good question to end. Can I become president of US? Yes, everything is possible. Why not? You never know. So thank you guys for your time. We are happy to help. How long does the DS 160 expire? Usually 30 days. That's what it says. Check your form. The right corner of your form, you see the expiry date there. We'll see you next week, same time, 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Please, if you have any question, reach out to us, beitlamad@gmail.com. This is our website, beitlamad.edu.com. Go to contact. Our contact is there. Website, www.beitlamad. Then we have our email, beitlamad@gmail.com. Thank you so much. We hope that this section helps you. Browse our YouTube page. What we do is that we give you most accurate information about visa school application. We are not interested in clickbait, so we tell you what it is. And I think that's what most of you need in your visa application. Thank you so much. This is Reverend Abbas. I need to give shout out to my big boss and my Papa Abbas. Thank you for being here. He's a good friend and a brother. And I hope that this night, when you go on your knees, you remember us in prayer, that God will open doors for us wherever we are and for everyone in Ghana, especially most of us who are looking for study abroad opportunities. Paddy, any final words before we go?
I would just say that the study abroad process is for everybody, right? Just put in the work and you get here. It's just a matter of time. If it didn't work out for you in 2024, 2025 is still ongoing. Go ahead and shoot your shot. And this time may be your time. And for those interested in MBA programs, please reach out and we'll help you get the best out of it. That's all for now. Thank you.
Yes. So, Eleanor, what is your question? Let me answer your question before I leave. I don't want anybody to join this live without his or her question being answered. At least for your data, we must let you have value for joining so that you can have time to. So, can you paste your question again? And I will only answer that one so that can you paste your question again, Eleanor, before we move on? Let me go through if I can find you and your question. Most of the questions were a lot. So let me see. Eleanor, okay. Sometimes it delays a bit, so just send us an email and I'll respond to it personally in the email for you. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. See you next week and browse our page and we'll be happy to help. Thank you.